What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. So what I can tell you today is that there's a chance that President Biden might have to veto a bipartisan bill. I'm going to give you an update on the stimulus package. I want to talk about cheaper gas prices and what economists are predicting over the next month. We're going to dive into how some lawmakers want to see more money spent for social safety net programs and give you some daily news as well. So first off, hopefully your Wednesday has been going extremely well. Let's get to the update. First, Senator Bernie Sanders. He wants to see the defense bill, which is $768 billion. He wants to see that come down. What we know, according to multiple reports, is that the amount of money that has been saved by pulling out of the war in Afghanistan is about $100 billion. So, according to many experts, they are saying that money could easily be used for something else, but that is not the way lawmakers want to play. What we are hearing is that they're going to pass the full $768 billion for the defense budget. However, many lawmakers say that this is actually somewhat of a waste of money. According to multiple sources, $100 billion could easily go into other social safety net programs and provide stability to those that are currently struggling. Here's what I can tell you. Many Republicans believe that yes, we could spend a little bit less on the defense bill. However, they're not coming forward and pushing for that. According to aides, yes, $768 billion is enough, but here's something I want to just kind of give you an idea on. Even though most Republicans like the idea of spending more on the military, many argue that right now, saving money could be a better move. Saving money and reducing taxes would be a better move and a wasted opportunity at this time. So, the hard part is this puts Republicans in a very tight spot, mainly because they are wanting to continue to increase military spending to make sure we are a powerhouse, but at the same time, we have to figure out a way to reduce taxes. So that's the difficult part right now is Republicans want one thing, but at the same time, how do we pay for it without increasing taxes? And so that's where there's trying to find that balance. And that's why we're seeing so many issues with the different bills that Democrats are trying to pass at this time. So we'll see what happens. Something else that was stated today that really pertains to the Build Back Better Act is that Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer stated that the majority of the savings from the Build Back Better Act is really just going to go to families and those with children. Now I want to address this because I get asked all the time, what about the $200 per month that President Biden promised to people on Social Security? What about saving money, lowering taxes, where anybody making less than $400,000 not have to pay a penny more in taxes, but at the same time, everybody's paying more. Everybody's paying more. But here's where lawmakers struggle at this time. Lawmakers are struggling with the fact that the current bill is pretty much all going to parents and children. Children that are right around that kindergarten, preschool age, those are the ones getting the majority of the benefits. And here's why. You get $300 in child tax credit payments per month. You get the child care credits. Okay, so if your child goes to daycare, you also get the pre-K if it does pass, right, in the Build Back Better Act. There's a lot of things in here for children, especially younger children. And that's where many lawmakers say, this is why we need to see more for those with student loans, people on Social Security, those struggling with housing, and immigrants as well. But at the same time, we need to pass all this stuff without the risk of increased inflation, and that's where things get very tricky. So, earlier today I addressed how lawmakers want to see student loans. Well, I addressed this yesterday and I addressed it this morning as well. Lawmakers want to see student loans get forgiven up to $10,000. That was one of President Biden's promises when he was campaigning to be president. Well, there's another promise as well. I'll address that in just a second. But they want to see that student loan forgiveness is included into the Build Back Better Act. And if this Build Back Better Act passes before Christmas, the answer is no, it will not be included. But if it gets extended back into January, then yes, it could. So it's kind of a sticking point. Which one are we going to go with? For Christmas, after, we can see less benefits or possibly more. As far as people on Social Security, I've said this multiple times in the past, that yes, lawmakers are looking into this, but while they look into this, the problem is that Social Security could potentially become insolvent. Now, nobody wants to increase the time frame or that timeline of when insolvency could occur, and because of that, that is one of the reasons why many are not pushing more for this. Now, last week, I also addressed that there's 2 bills that are currently being proposed, and one, well, pretty much both of them would raise the cap rate, okay, as far as how much money somebody can earn until they stop paying Social Security taxes. Both of them did that. But that's part of the issue is President Biden promised nobody making less than $400,000 per year would pay a penny more in taxes. So we'll see what happens there. But my thinking is, well, if somebody makes more than $400,000, couldn't we just say, okay, you make more than $400,000, then yes, you pay a little bit back into Social Security, right? I think that's pretty simple. So somebody pays up to $27,000. You pay your Social Security taxes on that, and then you don't pay anything up to $400,000 because anybody making under $400,000 can't see an increase. But then $401,000 up, you pay a little bit. So we'll see. I don't know if that's going to happen, but that's a possibility. Now, what I can tell you right now is Senator Joe Manchin and many others as well are really worried about inflation. Well, guess what comes out tomorrow? Tomorrow, we will see the CPI data. It will come out, I believe, tomorrow morning at 5:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will be here. I will be looking at that once it comes out. I will be ready for that, and I will report what we see in that and how this could potentially impact the Build Back Better Act and other bills as well. So we'll address that tomorrow. Also, good news for tomorrow, the Senate is expected to vote on the debt ceiling. So if this passes tomorrow, which the expectation is it will, then we should see this pretty much get resolved before the end of this week. One thing I can tell you though is it only resolves the issue until January 15th, and then we'll be back to square one and we will have to renegotiate. So we'll see what happens there. Some interesting news out of the past couple of days is that the White House says President Biden could veto his first bill very soon. According to reports, President Biden is going to veto any bill that nullifies his vaccine mandate. Here's what I can tell you. Obviously, this would be very controversial because Democrats, and this is considered a bipartisan bill to nullify this, is because many Democrats and Republicans, pretty much all Republicans, and many Democrats are opposed to a vaccine mandate because they say it's government overreach. But President Biden does have the power to veto this bill. Here's the problem. If he vetoes this bill, then Congress can override the veto if they get the numbers. But will they do that? The answer is probably not. So this is going to be very interesting to see what happens with this. But what I can tell you is this is going to start some issues. I guarantee you this is going to start some issues because according to the White House, President Biden will veto this bill in order to make sure that he still has the power. He still has the option to actually enforce a vaccine mandate if he so chooses. That is his choice right now, so we will see what happens in the future. And I promise I will bring you that update. That is going to be some big news if it does happen. Here's some other big news that I think is pretty big news. We could see cheaper gas prices according to multiple economists. Gas prices recently have already begun to drop. I addressed this earlier on this week, but according to economists, gas prices could easily drop more than 50 cents per gallon in the month of January and even exceed that in February. Now, this is very good news as gas prices are the #1 culprit for the increase in prices for almost everything else. Think about this. Let's say you go to the grocery store. And I talked about this last year as well. You go to the grocery store and you go buy Oreos. Oreos shouldn't really be that more expensive. But when you factor in the cost it takes to get them to that store, the transportation cost, the cost of the employee that has to come into work, right? Has to pay more in gas, has to pay more in rent. All this stuff is really causing more and more expenses, but it all adds up. And that's the issue. But experts say that this decrease in price has nothing to do with what President Biden did and releasing 50 million barrels of oil. Has nothing to do with that. That supplies us with oil for 2 days. It's about 2 days worth of oil. So that did absolutely nothing. But because of OPEC, because of the Omicron variant, because of other issues, supply and demand is actually coming to an intersection. Before, we had so much demand, very little, well, still a lot of supply. But now, supply is increasing ever so slightly. Demand is actually coming down, and once those intersect, that's where we're going to see savings. But let me ask you this, because I thought this was very interesting, because I was talking to somebody about this just the other day, and they brought this question up to me, and so I want to ask you this. Then I'll give you my answer as well. Do you drive less now that prices are higher, or do you drive more? Or is it unchanged? Let me just explain this. For me personally, I actually drive more now that prices are higher. And it's weird, but I do. One of the reasons why is because to get certain deliveries is more expensive. Let's say you want a piece of furniture delivered. Well, that's now more expensive. So to go and get something is cheaper, right? Uber took a big hit. So Uber Eats, or you go, let's say I want to order a pizza. It's more expensive now. So a lot of times, if I want a pizza, I'll just drive down the street and go get it. It takes me about 4 or 5 minutes to drive to the pizza place, Pizza Hut or whatever, down the street, Domino's, pick it up, head back to the house. It's that simple. So for me, honestly, I drive more, which kind of sucks because gas prices are more expensive. But that is where I'm at. So that is what we know as of right now. But as always, as I know more, I promise I'll come back on, share all the latest news and updates. Again, I just want to thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.